This is a demonstration of CSOFT version 6.200. This demonstration is going to include how to set up your console for a Auto Acknowledgement code. Off to the right here, you'll see the Auto Ack code that I have set up in our system. These are radio ID codes, and here are emergency codes. I set up this console design with 2 lines in it. This second line is set up to broadcast to a radio that I have, and it's going to generate DTMF codes, which then receives on another line in CSOFT, which is set up on line 1 in this design, to receive the DTMF codes to do the Auto Ack and emergency calls as we set up here. So let's look at our design. Let's go to the Edit menu in CSOFT Designer and go to Setup Per Line Parameters. As you can see here, we have 2 lines enabled in the design. I have one labeled as my main radio. This is my receiving radio. This is my page generating line. So this is going to act like the radio that's out in the field that's generating DTMF tones or paging tones, DTMF tones. So what we're going to be concerned with here is line 1. And we got our multicast set up here, and I got a base radio IP address. Now in the frequency area, I got 9 frequencies enabled, but primarily I'm just receiving on frequency 1. But what's really important here is under the signal setup area. We got it set up for 5/6 tone DTMF ANI. So let's go to the next tab here and look at our per line console ID. Our ID is 787. The signaling types you can see here below. Make sure you want to take a look at that. And then the Auto Ack signaling area here. You want to make sure that this is set up for Auto Ack type signaling and an Auto Ack delay of about 1,000 milliseconds. So it gives time for the response to come back to the user, so make sure they're done PTTing. And then the last part here that we want to set up on this in CSOFT is the Auto Ack code. The Auto Ack is just a series of tones that's going to generate as the person calls into the console. And then of course, if you resolve an emergency, we got a different kind of tone that would go out to show that tell the people out in the field that the emergency has been resolved. So that is CSOFT here. Now what we're going to do is switch over to our IP223 config to show you how that's set up. Now on CSOFT, I am on the IP223, we're on our IP223 that's on version 4.500, and we are on the per line setup page, and notice that we're on line 2. So what I'm going to do now is show you how this is all set up. Now what's really important here as a side note is that levels are going to be very important in how the DTMF is being received in the IP223. But now the IP223 has we have 4 different codes in here set up. First off, we have our DTMF tone type. We got our digit durations, interdigit durations, pause durations, and preamble durations set up. And I got those set up as 100, 100, 100, and then my pause duration is 200, and that's how I have my pagers set up in my CSOFT design. Now the status calls, basically is just going to show the radio IDs that come in. Now if radio IDs match the *787 or #787 or 111, it's going to trigger an emergency. So that's the quick down and dirty on how to set this up. Now I would like to demonstrate this for you. So let's minimize this and reopen up our CSOFT design, and we're going to run this. And this is my receiving radio. So we're going to generate a radio ID. And then we'll look under our call history, and we could see that the user ID of 222 came through. Now let's generate an Auto Ack code. So this is a field unit wanting to make sure that the dispatcher heard his call that came in. And so we'll generate. That was the tone that came back to let the person out in the field know that the console did receive the call. And of course you can see here that our select button here is now flashing. Now this flashing will not go away until you press and hold down PTT. And there it goes. Now, let's say that an emergency came through. What will happen is that you'll see this emergency call window automatically open. So let's generate an emergency. Now in here, you can see that the active emergency window opened up. What we can do is clear the alarm so that way the alarm goes away in your earpiece. Now, if you notice, now it's still flashing red and green to let you know that there's been an emergency declared. So now, let's say that the emergency has been resolved, so we click on that light item, and then send the acknowledgement, and this is what you'll get. So it lets the person out in the field that it's been resolved. And that's basically how this works.